Hi guys, this is from your Friday's homework assignment, the digital card sort, triangle sums. I'm just going to go over the systems questions in this one, okay? So our first question, D1. D1 and D4 are very similar, so I'm just going to do D1. Because I have two variables, I'm going to need to come up with two equations. I know that these guys here, because they have these tick marks, that they're congruent to each other. So I have an isosceles triangle, which also means that my base angles are congruent. So these two guys here are exactly the same. So that's going to be one of my equations. I'm going to have 4x plus 5y plus 1 equal to 2x plus 8y. My second equation, I'm going to use all three angles and add those up using my triangle sum to 180 degrees. So I'm going to have 8x plus 3y plus 1 plus 2x plus 8y plus 4x plus 5y plus 1 all equals 180. So for the first equation, I'm using my base angles theorem, saying that these two angles are congruent to each other. And then for my second equation, I'm using triangle sum theorem, that all three angles add up to be 180. So now I'm going to simplify what I can here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get my x and y's on the left side and everything else on the right. So I'm going to subtract 2x here, and I'm left with 2x. I'm going to subtract 8y. So I get negative 3y, and I'm going to subtract 1 to this side here. So I get 2x minus 3y is equal to negative 1. And then on the right side, I'm going to combine my 8x, 2x, and 4x. And altogether, that's going to give me 14x. I'm going to combine my 3y, 8y, and 5y. That's going to give me 16y. And I have a positive 1, which is positive 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 here and subtract 2 here. So I'm going to get 14x plus 16y is equal to 178. From here, I am going to use the elimination method. I'm going to multiply this first equation by a negative 7. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to cancel out my x's. So if I multiply here, I'm going to get a positive or a negative 14x, which will cancel with this positive 14x. So let's do that. So I'm going to distribute negative 7 times 2x gives me negative 14x. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21y. And negative 7 times negative 1 gives me a positive 7. So now when I add straight down the 14s, that 14x and negative 14x cancel. 16y plus 21y is going to give me a 37y, and that's equal to 185. And then divide both sides by 37. So I get y is equal to 5. But my question's asking me for the value of x. So I'm going to take this and plug it back into, I'm going to use this equation where I had my 2x minus 3y is equal to negative 1, but now I know that y is going to be equal to 5. So I'm going to do 2x minus 3 times 5 is equal to negative 1. 2x minus 15 equals negative 1. Adding 15 to both sides, I get 2x is equal to 14, which means x is equal to 7. Like I said, D1 and D4 are very similar. Next, D2. D2 and D6 are also similar problems. So I'm just gonna do D2. Again, I need to figure out two separate equations. I can do this a couple of ways. I know that these two guys here are a linear pair, so I could use that. I could use these three angles here, they're interior angles, so I could use triangle sum, or I could use my exterior angle that says your outside angle is equal to, not the guy he touches, but the other two added together. So I actually have a couple of different equations to choose from. I'm going to do the exterior angles theorem. So I'm going to set my outside angle 10x plus 12y plus 8, and I'm going to set that equal to 2x plus 8y plus 2 plus 10y plus 2x. So that's one of my equations. My second equation, I'm going to do a linear pair. So I'm going to go between these two guys. So my second equation is going to be 10x plus 12y plus 8 plus 4x plus 5y is equal to 180. All right, so now let's combine what I can. I'm going to go back up to my first equation. I'm going to move over. I have 2x plus 2x. That's 4x. So I'm going to subtract 4x here and subtract 4x here. So I'm going to be left with 6x on the left side. I have 8y and 10y, which is 18y. So I'm going to subtract 18y here and subtract 18y here, which is going to give me negative 6y. And then I'm going to move over my negative 8 here. I'm going to subtract 8 on this side. So 2 minus 8 is going to give me negative 6. Well, here I have a GCF, so I'm going to pull out a 6, which is going to leave me with x minus y is equal to negative 1. So from here, I want to move over my negative y over to the other side so I can get my x to be alone. So I get x is equal to y minus 1. And now going to my second equation. I'm going to combine like terms, so 10x and 4x is going to give me 14x. 12y plus 5y is going to give me 17y. And I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, and that's going to equal 172. From here, I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to take my y minus 1 and plug him into my x, into right there. So I'm going to get 14y minus 1 plus 17y is equal to 172. Distribute, I get 14y minus 14 plus 17y is equal to 172. 14y and 17y gives me 31y, and then I'm going to add 14 to both sides. So 31y is equal to 186, and divide both sides by 31, so I get y is equal to 6. Again, my questions ask me to find the value of x, so I'm going to take this guy and plug him into this equation since x is already alone. I'm going to get x is equal to 6 minus 1, which means x is equal to 5. And D3 and D6 are similar problems, and that we have equilateral triangles. Right, because I have tick marks all the way around. If it's an equilateral triangle, you know that all 3 angles will always be 60 degrees. So I'm just going to take my angle up on top, 4x plus 8y, and I'm going to set that guy equal to 60. And then I'm also going to use another angle, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to do 3x plus 7y plus 13 and set that guy equal to 60. So I have 2 different equations. With this first one, I noticed that I can pull out, it has a GCF, I'm going to pull out a 4, which leaves me with x plus 2y is equal to 15. And from my second equation, I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. So I'm going to get 3x plus 7y, and that's going to be equal to 47. I did that because I want to multiply my first equation. I'm going to use elimination again. I'm going to multiply this first equation by a negative 3, so my x's will cancel. So when I take this guy, multiply him by negative 3, I get negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2y is going to be a negative 6y. Negative 3 times 15, and that's going to give me negative 45. So now when I add straight down, the x's cancel. 7y minus 6y just leaves you with y, and 47 minus 45 leaves you with 2. So I get y is equal to 2. I'm going to use this equation up here and replace my y with the 2. So I'm going to get x plus 2 times 2, and that is equal to 15. So x plus 4 equals 15. Subtracting 4 from both sides, I get x is equal to 11.